All right, all you Why the Hell Am I Here listeners out there, I have a question to ask you. How many of you have ever been to a symphony concert? Now, it doesn't have to be Mansfield, but just think about any symphony concert where you're in the audience and you're looking at all these musicians on stage and they're playing these beautiful classical pieces. What are some of the feelings that you remember feeling from that? Did you have an emotional experience? Was it something that you really remember? I know I've been to pieces before and felt really moved by it because, the talent that people have to play that kind of stuff, that was something that I never got into as a kid. Now imagine you're the guy who's in charge of that entire emotional experience for everybody. The guy standing at the center of the orchestra, watching the music happen, feeling that music happen right in front of you, and knowing that you're leading the entire audience through this emotional journey, as it were. That guy is my next guest on this podcast. Now, before we dive into our actual interview, I wanted to take a moment to say thank you to one of the generous newsroom partners supporting the Why the Hell Am I Here podcast, Spherion Staffing. Their job is finding jobs, and they love what they do, which is something we both have in common. Without the support of Spherion, the solutions journalism work we do at Richland Source, including this podcast, just wouldn't be possible. For more information about Spherion, our newsroom partners, and our solutions journalism work, visit richlandsource.com/solutions. From the Richland Source Podcast Network, welcome to Why the Hell Am I Here? A podcast that hopes to answer the big and small questions about where you are in life, where you've been, and where you're going. I'm your host, Brittany Schock. Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Why the Hell Am I Here? We're getting very musical with our guest on the Why the Hell Am I Here podcast today. Not to mention, we're going to talk about traveling all over the world and conducting music and just being immersed in music culture, right, Octavio? Mm-hmm. So today I have with me Octavio Más-Arocas, and he is the music director and conductor of the Mansfield Symphony Orchestra. So welcome to the podcast.
Oh, thank you very much for having me. It's a pleasure.
Yeah, I'm excited to talk about all kinds of stuff today. I have my notes in front of me. It's going to be great. So,
yeah.
Have you ever done a podcast before, Octavio?
I've done something, yeah.
Yeah, I'd imagine so. Like we're going to discuss, you've kind of been all over and done all kinds of things.
Yeah,
so.
yeah.
So Octavio is from Spain originally, and you're going to have to tell me where you were born because I know I'm not going to pronounce it correctly.
I was born in Valencia in Spain, but I live in Buñol, which, the nearest hospital was Valencia, but I was born and raised in Buñol, Valencia. Yeah.
So, how is your hometown different from Mansfield?
Well,
where to begin?
I think that I for good or for bad, my little town of Spain is very different to many places in the world. So, I think that we're a little bit. I didn't realize back then when I was there, but we have a very peculiar town. So it just people there just gets very crazy, and it's very famous for two things. One is just music. There are a lot of musicians there, two huge bands, and just half of the town just belongs to one band, the other half belongs to the one, and just they fight because of music, and it's just like this competition because to see who's better, and that goes down to everybody. And the other thing that we are famous for is a tomato fight. So a tomato fight. So the last Wednesday of August, for 1 hour, the last Wednesday of August, thousands and thousands of people from all over the world come to just fight with tomatoes, and you can see that on the TV, this all over the internet, and I've been in many places in different countries on that day. And if I've always found it on the TV, like the news, this tomato fight in this little town of Spain. So that's my town. I don't know how,
Yeah, where does that come from, that tradition?
Well, some people said that there are many, some people suggest different reasons, but one of the theories is that the mayor of the council was just walking through a farmer's market, and then someone from the opposition was there near a tomato stand and throw a tomato, and the other people just answered back, and then they answered back, and they started this tomato fight, and just that became like something that they did once in a while, and they became a tradition.
So wherever you are, do you smash a tomato just out of respect?
I do that out of respect. I actually do it just not only in that day. I do it very often. So just don't come to me angry or something. No. I wish I would have tomatoes next to me,
Well, I love what you said that, you're kind of realizing now that it was very peculiar, because you never realize it when you're living there, right? But now that you have different perspectives, you're like, wow, we were really weird.
Yeah, I mean, this is a 10,000 inhabitant. It's in the middle of the mountains. There is a beautiful medieval castle there, and there are all these amazing parks, this river that was there, and you just like, jumping on the river, and these things just, we do these crazy things, and we have the tomato fight, and we have the music, which is, to me, was just natural. So you are there, and you say, yeah, I'm sure, like everywhere in the world, just the towns, every town they have a tomato fight. It's just like,
right.
Yeah, I'm sure about that.
Of course, it's normal.
Normal. So, no, then, I mean, you realize about how special it is, not just only the tomato fight, but how people it is about, and the music situation, and actually geographically as well, and all that, and you realize about that later when you live and you start talking about things, and you start talking about your little town in Spain, and how it's just like the uncle that everybody has, and just all these little stories, and just very, very picturesque things going on, and then the rest of Spain too. All the cultural things that we have in Spain, and just how the differences are between the cultures. And even in Spain, when I was in Spain, I for 4 years I lived in the north of Spain, and that's also very different than my town. And so I realized about all these things much later. And so people, when I start, in these kind of situations and other situations, people ask me, what about this? What about that? And I start talking, and just I keep going. And just I once remember, and I mentioned this a lot of before. I don't know if here, but I remember I was a student, and I was in one of those hostels, student hostels. I was in a workshop or somewhere in Europe. I don't even remember where. I think maybe it was just Italy or France or something. And I went there, and there was just one of those hostels that you just pay. You don't know who you're going to spend the night with. I mean, you are there. There might be like 8 beds. And, anyway, very cheap, maybe €2 something.
I stayed in one of those when I traveled to New York in college. So
right.
It was the same thing, where it was just stranger beds, and you just don't really know who you're going to see in the communal bathroom the next day.
So it just happened that there was just this world dance festival in that town, and so all these, of course, world dance companies or just groups, like many of them ended in that hostel. I was one of them, one around them, and well, this is another story, right? But no, this is also related to this. It was just so fun. But in one of these stories, actually, it was just not a world dance. It was a writers' conference. That's
very different. Writers versus dancers.
Well, yes. But let me tell you, there were many writers in that hostel. And of course they start just having a party or something, and just I went to the hostel. And then all of a sudden, so they were like, "And who are you? We didn't see you in this conference. Oh well, yeah, I'm a Spanish musician. Where are you coming from?" And then, people were asking me this, like, "What's your town? What is just this?" And and then all of a sudden, I was telling all these stories, and I had like 30 people just around me, all these writers around me, and they were like, "Oh, that you're making this up." No, I need to write this, and they were like taking notes, and they were like,
"I swear this is real.
I swear this is. I'm not making it up. No, you have a very a very vivid imagination. No, this is not imagination. This is, oh my God. So they were all like, we need to go to this town in Spain to write these things down. So,
oh my gosh. Well, speaking of one of those stories, I remember, Octavio, when you first came to Mansfield, I interviewed you for a profile. You can read it on Richland Source. But one of the stories that you told me was when you first got introduced to music and auditioned for the bands and then how you got into conducting. But can you please tell that story again about, like, I think you like played the trumpet and there was this whole story because, like you said, you grew up in this town where you're in one band or the other. And you know,
so I actually that's today I was talking to in the high school and I told them how I got into the first time that I conduct, and that this is the story actually. So in this band, in this town, musicians are really good, and no one asks you where are you gonna be when you grow up. They ask you what instrument are you gonna play, and you start playing really early and just there are really great musicians, the best teachers in the region. It's just really amazing because they are very proud of that. And like I said, that competition between the two bands. So that brings down to half a town that is just like these amazing musicians all over. And so back then, the music wasn't really on high schools. And it was, in this institution. So nationally, they start bringing music to high schools. And it was an obligatory class that you had to take. And of course, they didn't have enough teachers. So they just brought this, English teacher that didn't have enough hours to teach music to these high schoolers that like were exceptional musicians.
Right.
So you can imagine that we were like all over. I mean, the poor teacher, I don't know how he survived. So someone had an idea and said, well, we cannot do this. You just, these kids just know everything and just more than the teacher. So let's have a band and let's put together this band. And whenever they meet, the music lesson meet or the music class, they just they get together with a conductor outside. So they hire a conductor and just all these people came together, all these high schoolers. And it was just this great band just playing at a very high level. The conductor was coming from outside. So just near one of the concerts, someone from the administration who just didn't know much about all this came to the rehearsal and say, well, the conductor got sick. He's not going to be able to make the concert, which was 2-3 rehearsals away that weekend. And they say, we need someone to conduct. Anyone wants to conduct. I mean, they didn't know better, like asking. and of course, me being a trumpet player, the trumpet player are a little bit, how do you say, snotty.
A little snobby. He's looking at his nose right now.
Yeah,
a little cocky, right?
A little bit cocky, and just being this cocky trumpet player, like, I'll do it, just put my hand up and I'll do it. And they say, okay, you do it. And I was like, no, that was a joke. I was kidding. I'm not doing it. I don't know how to. I don't even know what. No, now you do it. I'm sorry, but you just say you do it. You did. But I have an idea. Here's the baton. Here, this chord. You did. But I just no. And just
you're in it now.
And I was in that. So they give me the baton. Just take the baton. Just like I did the pickup, which is like when you just put your arm up and down to the band, and just did that, and just they start playing, and that was just one of the most magical moments in my life. That was just like the moment that just actually changed my life forever. I mean, that moment decided what I was going to be and what I was going to do for the rest of my life. It just took me literally a couple of seconds to just kind of like get all that all that sound coming to me, directly to me, and all those kids, my colleagues, my friends playing their heart off, and I was like, yep, this is what I want to do.
You
in
were
a
hooked
few seconds,
immediately.
In seconds.
Was it that wall of sound coming at you that really? I mean, I would imagine that's very impactful.
It was like, very impactful. It is continuous being impactful every time. I have now the experience. I know how to just manage, and just I've done it like millions of times now.
Right, exactly.
But still, I feel it like a kid.
Yeah.
When I'm in front of the orchestra, I still feel like a child, like a kid that is doing it for the first time.
Mm-hmm.
And so, that was just a really it was just very special, very unique, something that hits you. It's kind of like all of a sudden just a big breeze or or even a big punch.
Right.
And it just changes, just like, oh, wow. And
Wow.
It's just so amazing. Yeah.
So you ended up going to, higher education and studying orchestra conducting. I mean, from that moment, there was no doubt in your mind that that's what
Right.
you would be, right?
Right. So from that moment on, I was playing trumpet, and I was, again, I was just at very good level, but it was just in the middle of the road of the trumpet. So it wasn't at the beginning, it wasn't at the end, it was in the middle. So you are not like in the moment to say, okay, now I'm gonna switch completely to the other thing. And also, just there was like, for kids that age, they were like conducting was not available yet. So in Spain, was going through some transitions in music education. So for conducting back then in Spain, to start studying conducting, you had to just finish a full career in instrument, a full career in piano, and then composition, theory, and blah blah, and then you could start. You would be able to start studying conducting.
Wow.
I know that's
so long.
That's what I thought. So I would go to the administration of the conservatory and say, but I'm gonna be 40 when I start conducting.
Right.
And they said, that sounds right. Yeah, probably. And I said, no, I can wait.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I was 14 or 15. So I said, no, I can wait. So just from that moment on, I decided I'm going to finish trumpet. I had a plan. I had a finished trumpet. I'm going to just, because I was in the middle, I'm going to just be working, and then I'm going to just go into do my master's in conducting. And I'm going to go outside, I'm going to get out of Spain because I can do it here. I'm going to spend every money that I have in just scores, recordings, in finding teachers. So and that's what I did. From the very beginning, just every penny that I was just earning was just dedicated to just was onto that.
Right.
So,
you ended up going to school in Spain and Italy and, surprisingly, Ohio.
Yeah, Ohio, and before that in New York. But all in Europe, I just traveled all over looking for conducting workshops. So I will have some, I don't know,
like experience and
just finding the teachers, finding the people who I wanted to study with,
sure.
the cities where I wanted to study, and so on. So I will just save some money, and then I will go to London and I stay there like a couple of weeks. We'll come back, I will save some more money, and I will go to Italy, I will go to France, I will go to, and then meanwhile I will just be doing workshops, meeting the teachers, meeting the schools, and so on. And so I initially wanted to go to London, and I got just acceptance letters to do that after auditions, after all, But at the end, just I decided not to, because I wasn't just so happy with the teacher. I went to Italy, and then when in Italy, one of my teachers there say, well, you should go to this play in New York. And then I went to this place in New York, Bar College. I went to a workshop in the summer. I like it very much. I continue during the year, so I did my master's degree there. I finished my master's degree there. For 1 or 2 years, I was coming and going from Spain to United States, working there, working here. And then I started my doctoral degree at Bowling Green State University.
So this surprises me. Because it seems out of place to think like you've been studying all over Europe and New York, and then you went to Bowling Green for your doctorate.
It is actually when I finished my master's degree, somehow I knew I wanted to remain in the United States. And so as a foreigner, I needed to have a reason to stay for a visa. So one of the reasons was pursuing a doctoral degree. And so I applied to different doctoral programs all around the country, and I got invited to be in like 5 or 6 programs. And the one that was just the most intriguing, and I feel that it was just there was something special going on, was in Bowling Green. Why? Because they had this program in contemporary music, and it was just contemporary music and conducting. and they had all these amazing opportunities going on, and it was the first time. So I was the first one of the first doctoral students in that in the music school.
Wow.
One of the 5 first. It was a first the first class was only 5 doctoral students, and I was one of them.
Wow!
And it was very special because it was just of the focus, and the program was really well organized and much better than many other places. And just I got offers from many, a few very good schools. And also just I was just coming as with my own experiences, so it was kind of like being an assistant to the conductor.
Sure. Mm-hmm.
So they pay me a stipend, and I didn't have to pay any tuition. So it was kind of like working for them while just getting a degree. And it was just, and at the same time conducting a lot. So just actually, it turned out to be one of the best decisions that I made.
Wow.
Going to Bowling Green State University, as like close to us as it sounds, as a very probably very Ohio is cool that it sounds. I don't know what to say, but it actually is just very good.
Yeah.
So.
Well, it's nice to hear that, because people can get kind of down on Ohio sometimes, like there's nothing here, there's nothing to do be here, but you've been all over the world and you chose a program in Ohio of all places. So.
Yeah, but and that's I teach in a college, so I have assistant conductors, and I have people who, and I teach in workshops in other places now. So I'm traveling now, like working, which is great. So people ask me like, what should I go to this place? What should I go? I just got this acceptance, but I want to this other, whatever. I will say, well, it's about what you do in the place. It's about how you just make the place for yourself. It's about how you just make your experience in Bowling Green to be the best experience possible. It's not like the name of the school. It's just what you make of the school.
Absolutely.
Like you might go to Juilliard, you might go to the University of Michigan, and you might not get anything. You actually just might get, and that was the case. I was just at Bowling Green, and I had my colleagues, friends from Michigan University of Michigan, and we will meet sometimes in Ann Arbor, and just they will talk to me, and they were like people who were like, well, we're doing this, we're doing that. Maybe we'll do this. You will conduct something, and I will tell them everything that I was doing. They will go, wow, all that. There's of course.
Right.
I mean, yeah. So to me, that was just one of the best things that happened.
Yeah.
And that's actually what the first professional opportunities came because of my time there.
Mm-hmm.
So that was just crucial time for me.
So I want to back up for a minute and ask, before you came to New York to study study conducting and things like that, had you ever been to the United States before then?
Nope. I mean, I came to New York the summer before to do a workshop there in that place. So, and I just went to New York, and I went to Bar College in New York. Did the summer workshop, which I think it was 2 weeks, something like that. I did my audition. They said, yes, we admit you. And then went back home. And then I came back the next summer and then stayed.
So what were some of your first impressions then of America when you first got here?
Well, it was just, it's something that is still very powerful to me. But one of the first things, I mean, this wasn't very far. It wasn't many years after the 2001 September 11.
Mm-hmm.
So that wasn't many years after that. And my time in that summer was close around. I don't know if it was just before or after. It was around. I don't exactly remember, but around July 4th. So one of the first things that I remember was just like how intensely patriotic America was, like all the, like you would see all the flags and all the just people just being very patriotic and just like being out and just like everything that you see in the movies and in the TV and so on, but that was very impressive to me. Just see American flags all over and just people just being very patriotic about things and just very profoundly sentimental about that. So that was very touching. I mean, it's still very touching right now and very powerful.
Yeah.
Perhaps because it was very close to 2001.
Sure, yeah.
So that was just even more than, and it was my first time. So the first time experiencing the country around the 4th of July, and with all that's very impressive.
Yeah.
And of course there are the other things that are like more, I would say, less impressive. I mean, the funny things when you go there and you go to Times Square and you see the yellow caps and you see all the things that you see in the TV and all. Everything and everyone and the little, even just the little towns with the red, the colors, the red barns, everything that you see in the TV that just here is just normal.
Right. Yeah.
And right now it's just even more, like probably more normal. But just back then, it was just very curious. It was very picturesque.
Well, I'm thinking too, your first exposure to America was New York City, and then you moved to Ohio, and that had to have been a bit of a culture shock too.
Right. But it was a little of cultural shock. But actually, in Ohio at Bowling Green State, I was just extremely busy. I just kept, like I say, you said before, it's what you do out of the place. So I just barely slept when I was there. I just worked really hard in Ohio.
Right, yeah.
I just remember once at Bowling Green, I had an office, but it was the graduate assistant office. And so it's just no windows, and it's just like like back inside somewhere, and just I was there working and just in a computer, and this was very funny because there were like someone practicing piano, some other pianist practicing, so you could hear that, and then in your cell phone all of a sudden say, okay, it's just a storm warning. We are gonna be closing the school because of the storm warning. Like was just February, something like that, snowstorm. So they closed the school. The snowstorm come and just I was working on something. I was just like there all night. It was just 4 or 5 a.m. in the morning, and all this time the pianists were still playing. I was like, okay, I think I'm gonna go home now. I'm hungry. I just tired. I tried to go home, and of course they had say school is not meeting the next day, so they were plowing all the snow, and they plowed the snow, so the exits and the entrances, they were blocked with the snow, so you couldn't go in or out of the school. So what I'm gonna do? Okay, I'm gonna go again to the room and just go back to again to the room and start working. And so the next day gone through, and I just gone by, and I didn't realize because it was still.
Right, because you're in a windowless room.
Right, so I didn't know if it was just day, night, or I just kept
like
working.
Vegas in there.
Right, and you couldn't stop to see the time because you were like, I was just doing this deadline, just one line. Anyway, and one point I realized it was just again in the a.m. in the next day. And I said, I'm going to get out again. But again, just the door was blocked, so I couldn't just... So somehow I spent like 2-3 days inside of this room, with eventually some trips to the vending machines downstairs.
Right, yeah.
And just come back and it's just like 2-3 hours, just 2 or 3 days without sleeping. And
oh my gosh.
I didn't realize until just I think by the third day, I got out and it was just this sunny day, but huge amount of snow that never saw in my life, like taller than me.
Yeah.
It was just like like how they just pack it, like they plow and just were like, wow. That was just huge, and and just that's how you just like how busy we were in that point,
wow.
But the funny things, like I say, is like I don't know who they were, but all the way while I was doing that, there were there were always someone playing the piano. So that was the part
the whole time.
Right, the whole time.
Just you're in some kind of like alternate universe in there.
That's why I wasn't thinking about what time is it, what day we
right.
are. Like, it's just the piano was playing. I was like, okay. I
Must
keep
be
going.
okay.
yeah, it's very curious, yeah.
Gosh. Well, after Octavio finally got out of that room and, went on to actually get a real job, we're going to take a quick break here to talk about some of the sponsors of the Why the Hell Am I Here podcast. But when we come back, we're going to talk about how he came to be the music director and conductor at the Mansfield Symphony. So we're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back. The solutions journalism work we do at Richland Source, including the Why the Hell Am I Here podcast, would not be possible without the support of our newsroom partners, including PR Machine Works, Nanogate, DRM, the Visiting Nurses Association, Richland Bank, Mechanics Bank, Ohio Health, and the Area Agency on Aging. Seriously, I couldn't be more grateful to our community for believing in what we do here just as hard as we do. For more information about our newsroom partners and our solutions journalism work, visit richlandsource.com/solutions. Now let's get back to the podcast. All right, guys, welcome back to the Why the Hell Am I Here podcast. For those of you, you've been listening, you've been hearing all about Octavio Más-Arocas and his stories about growing up in Spain in this quirky little town that's all about music, right? And traveling all over to study orchestra conducting, eventually landing in Bowling Green at Bowling Green University in Ohio. So after you got your doctorate at Bowling Green, let's talk a little bit about some of the jobs that you had, because you've been all over the world conducting.
Right. So actually, I didn't get my doctoral degree until 2 years ago.
Oh, really?
Well, I finished all my coursework. I did everything, and then I just landed the job before I could finish. And it was a really good job. I think a lot
of people do that.
Right. So I just left, and then one after the other job. I've been extremely lucky, and other great jobs have come my way. And just in one point, that just the administration there and at Bowling Green, they say, "Hey, you need to finish this." And if not,
reminder.
Right, it was just like 10 years lapse or something like that.
Wow.
You only need to just write the dissertation, and they really want me to finish it because I was just doing really well. So it could be good to be an alumni of that school, just having been in the places that I've been.
They want to show you off, right?
Well,
and
I don't know about that, but I mean, I really just brag about them. But in one point, I said, "Yep." One summer, my wife and I, which she also went to the same program, but 2 years later.
Okay.
And so we just decided to just finish it, and we just did. We just we sat together and just started writing, and just we finished the program.
That has to feel good, though, to finally finish, right?
Yes, it felt really good. So now I am Dr.
Dr. Más-Arocas, right?
I am Dr. Más-Arocas. I fix a lot of souls.
I like the way you put that. So you have worked, like we talked about, kind of all over the world conducting. Right. So is there a place in particular that you hold pretty close to your heart when you think of the jobs that you've held? I
think every job that I have is very special. Has something very special. The people is very special. The music that you just do with these people is very special. Being Interlochen Center for the Arts was the first job that hired me full time as the music director there, and that's so there were a lot of firsts within that position, and many different learning curves. so that surprise, that's one of the ones that have a special place in my heart. But I think that, like I said before, just every single one of the ones that came after that have something very special. At Interlochen, I was just younger, and I made a lot of mistakes, and just they put off with those mistakes, and I learned wonderful people, and it just happened, just like many things in my life that I just been very lucky. I think I consider myself lucky. I didn't know what I was getting into, and and when I was there and when I left, and while I was there, just I realized that I was just a very impressive school, a very impressive place with really amazing musicians and things going on, and just like one of the best in the world. So just I didn't realize like how lucky and just how much good that just mean for the rest of my career.
So what's one of the lessons that you learned there that has stuck with you throughout your career?
Well, there are many, but I think that one of them is just, I think that the most important thing that I learned, I keep learning, that I learned from there and learned from other places, is just to just, I work with people, and you just, I think that everybody wants to always do just their very best, and when you work with people, you need to be first a person. You need to be first a respectful person to others, and just like understand. Everybody has their own issues in life, their own greatness and just weaknesses, and I think that if we just learn to respect and also learn to understand each other, and just give the opportunity just to just find the best of everybody, I think that you will get just well with everybody. So I think that that's something that I continue learning, but that was just a moment in my life that I just came kind of like faster than in other places.
I give that advice to new reporters too. To when you're interviewing someone, you approach them as a person first and not just a source. Because that's one of the reasons I like my job in particular is I think everybody has a story. So, you have to approach them as we're all human, right?
Right, exactly.
So how did you come to learn about the Mansfield Symphony?
So I was actually in one of my recent jobs after Interlochen. I moved to different places, and the last, previously to what I am right now, I was based in Baldwin Wallace University, which is in outside Cleveland, and they have a really good conservatory, the Baldwin Wallace Conservatory, and I was the music director of the music director of orchestras.
Okay.
So director of orchestras of Baldwin Wallace, and there is this database of jobs for conductors.
Okay.
Believe it or not, there are organizations like Conductors Guild and so a bunch of conductors that get together and talk about.
We have journalismjobs.com, so
right.
It's something similar for
something
conductors.
Similar. So there are these positions, and I saw this one that was just in Mansfield, and this one was around 1 hour away from where I was, and so I said, well, this could be something that I would like to check. And I applied to other ones, but I applied to this, and I say, yeah, this is seems like a great place. So like many other conductors, like the hundreds that I probably applied to this position, I sent my credentials, my videos, because for conductors you just need to send videos of yourself. I don't know what you send reporters. I don't know, a report.
We don't have videos, that's for sure. Maybe in broadcasting, but
yeah, you probably send.
But they want to see examples of your work.
Exactly.
Right?
So I send my things. It's just kind of like my references and so. And so they call me and say, "Hey, we went through an interview process. We would like to talk to you." They talk to me. And then finally they say, we would like you to just come and just guest conduct. So they just and they selected 3 conductors from all that. I'm sure it was a very large pool. And so they selected 3 conductors, and just each of us would come for a concert week. And during that week, we have the concert, of course, all the rehearsals, but also just a number of meetings with board people, with the committee, with community people, and this and that. And I had my concert in that year in April, and I think it went very well. And I think they thought so. If not, they would have just asked me to come back. But I think that they did, and I hope that they still just are happy with me. But but
it's been a year now, so I think you're okay.
Yeah,
Right?
yeah.
What was some of your first impressions of the Mansfield Symphony?
I thought one of the first impressions just it is a great orchestra. It is a great orchestra with great potential. One of the first things that I thought is just like I would like to just take this orchestra and just make it my own, and just like once you have the time to work with them, you can just shape the orchestra your way.
Mm-hmm.
So and even so, I could feel that they were able to just react, and that you would just be able to ask, and they will just be able to just react to you, to what you would want them to do.
Mm-hmm.
So I thought that with a little more time together, if we will have the relationship, we would be able to understand each other better, and just we just would create a better organization together, like
Sure.
as an orchestra, an
Uh-huh.
ensemble. And then the other thing that I just really liked a lot was actually just the Renaissance itself.
Yeah.
So
It's a great theater, isn't it?
it is great. So just not only the physical
right.
theater,
Yeah. Uh-huh.
but it's also what's around. So the people there and how they are working together bring to Mansfield all these great things. The musical, the theater, the choir, the youth orchestra, all the things going on there, and how just like in a town like Mansfield that we have that. It's just amazing how everything it pieced together. It pieced together to just bring this great institution working in Mansfield for the community. So I think that's very special, and I think that that was something that really attracted me to feel that. And then is the community. The next thing that that I really just enjoy was after my concert. After every concert, I go to the lobby, talk to the community.
Yeah.
But I do that everywhere. So, but when I did that in here, there was something special with the community. There was something that, people will come and just give me hugs. People will come and say, yes, I hope that was so, I had so much fun. I hope that you just come back. And then they will go on and tell me stories and tell me things. And it was just the first time that I met them. So that was just really, it was just really unique. So the combination of all those things, the orchestra and the Renaissance, the community, I think it's just something that doesn't happen everywhere, and again, I think it's very unique.
So what would you say to people in the community who aren't very familiar with the symphony, or maybe think, oh, that's too stuffy for me, or I'm not fancy enough to go to the symphony concerts, because they're really for everybody, but some people maybe are a little intimidated by them sometimes. What would you say to encourage them to come?
Right. Well, the first thing you say, if people think they are not fancy enough to come, I would say, probably we are not fancy enough for you to just, we are not fancy enough for you. You are extremely fancy for us. What I say is no one is fancy enough to just come to the orchestra. Everybody, it is just the right fancy to come. Let's put it that way.
Yeah.
I don't think that no one should think that they need to dress in one way or behave in a way or
right.
a special way, or just they need to just do something special to come to an orchestra concert. What you need to do is just come and just let yourself be there and go with the flow and just feel the energy. And there is no one is going to just say anything about that. I mean, what I love is just, some people, when, they say, I don't even know when to clap. And I say, that's perfect. Just clap whenever
just
you
do it.
just do it. And, in some moments, just in the middle of a symphony, which traditionally, some people don't, traditionally you don't clap in the middle of a symphony. I don't know, we finish a symphony, we finish a movement, and some people have clapped. So I turn around and say, thank you. Thank you. You have been moved to clap. You have like what we've done enough that you are clapping. Who am I to tell you, please don't clap if you just like it?
Yeah.
So no, just please bring it. And who am I to tell you, just don't, you don't, no one comes. I mean, if you want to just wear a suit, so wear a suit. If you want to just come in shorts, come in shorts. What I'm going to tell you, it's just you. It's just, come and enjoy it.
It's just you experiencing it.
Right. So, and then it's about the music. Like, I wouldn't understand it, or it's going to be too boring, or it's going to be like this, it's going to be like that. No, it's just, this is music that is just very entertaining. It's music that is just, everybody just gets. We are selecting music that is just, while it's classical music is just the popular classical music that everybody gets. It's just, I am selecting music that I like, and I'm selecting music, or we are selecting music that it is close to our heart, and that we just hope that you are gonna enjoy it. So it's kind of like I am not going to. Some moments some concerts we might experiment with something, but most of the things we're just giving you something that you are gonna enjoy, that you are gonna like, you are gonna feel energizing, you are gonna feel just passionate about that. It's kind of like a menu. I want to just maybe I give you something that is just a little bit like sparkling, like a little something unusual. But then I'm gonna give you the meat and potatoes that you're gonna love. And that when I talk to everybody in the audience that comes to me after a concert, just go backstage immediately. To the lobby immediately, and I run to the lobby immediately and so I try to catch as many people as possible. And of course, we have the old timers, the patrons that have been there with us for a long time, and they say, "Oh, we love the interpretation of this symphony. You're doing in this moment. You are taking this movement a little slower, and I love that. This more specific things about the music." And then there are those that come and say, "Oh my God, I've never heard anything like this," and just that's the first time that they hear that.
Yeah.
And those, there is something. I love everyone, but there is something to me very, it's very special. It's very nice when someone comes out of a concert and tells you, almost they are into tears, telling you, "I've never been in a symphony, and then just been moved." And it's just like, and you feel, that happened to me last year. We were in a concert, and this lady came, and she was just very agitated, and you could see, and I was talking to other people that were coming, and she was just on the line, but she was just kind of moving a lot, and she was very agitated, and I was like, oh, something is happening. And she was just coming and like almost just around, and then finally she came to me and like, oh my God, I've never saw anything like this. Just what is this? All these people playing and all those, how do you call those, violins? And when they play and they were doing that, and it's just, that to me was just the most beautiful moment of the evening. That to me was just the moment that I say, yes, this is why I do what I do.
Right.
For these people. Like, if there is just one person that we are going to make them discover something new, and something very special, something that their heart is going to just be shaken by what we do and touch. Then I will just, then I'm happy. I have my goal. That's my goal.
Is that what keeps you going? Because you've been doing this for decades.
Yes.
Now. So,
yes.
When we talk about sustaining that excitement and passion for it,
right.
Where does that come from?
I love music.
Obviously, right?
Right. But I think there is, I feel that everything that I do with the music needs to have, I bring my soul to every single thing that I do. Every single note is very, I treat it like if it could be the most beautiful thing ever. So, and then the performance, the entire performance is transcendental to me. It's just like I treat it like if it could be the most beautiful thing that I'm doing, and it would, like if it could be almost like the last time that I was going to be doing it. If someone would come to me and would say, Octavio, after performance, I'm gonna take your batons, and you're gonna be able to conduct ever in your life. So that performance would be just the most heartbroken, but also beautiful. I would just give my very best. So that's how I just take everything, every rehearsal even, and performance that way. Mm-hmm. And so that's one of the things that the music itself keeps me going. Then is the interaction and the uniqueness of the situation between musicians, me, and audience. That is something very human that happens and necessary that happens on every performance. So we have the musicians, we have the conductor, the musicians, the music, the instruments, and we just get together. We practice. They practice on their own. We do all our rehearsals. We get ready for a concert. We are there. We perform the music at our best. We are giving our heart to the audience. The audience come. And the audience, they come from all different backgrounds, all different walks of life, and just they come with their issues. They have their problems and their the things that they are dealing, and difficult situations, and maybe happy situations, and whatever it is in their life. But they leave that behind for a moment of their life, and they are just come to the hall to share a moment with us. So they leave all that, and we have a moment of communion between the music, the musicians, and the audience, which I think is part of the performance. The audience are part of the performance. And then there is a point in which you feel that. You feel the audience is just giving, it's part of that. They are performing with us. They are giving that energy to us too. Mm-hmm. And they are being part of the entire thing. And when that happens, when everybody just comes together, that's a thing that would make us humans, and that's a feeling that is just, you can't just replicate that. Mm-hmm. And I think it's so necessary to bring everybody together, to have that communion, to have that you feel all these souls and people coming from all different backgrounds, and that they are vibrating together, and that they are feeling something together, and that they are like, for that moment in their life, we are actually just bringing beauty into their hearts, and just they're just leaving everything behind. And just for that specific moment is so special. We are touching each other's hearts. So, I mean, I feel very privileged to just be on that. I'm not even saying that I'm the one who is doing that, because I'm just like a little piece of this. But to me, it's just very, I'm privileged to be that. And if I get someone in the audience just come in and just tell me, just like, yeah, that was just so moving, and just like I was just moved away just for those 2 minutes, whatever it is, even if it is 2 minutes, but if I just brought happiness and just beauty to someone, well, that's something that is just like, I don't know, there is no other feeling that is just like that. It's very special.
Well, after that description, if you don't want to go to the next symphony concert, then you must be dead inside. So
right.
But Octavio, thank you so much for being on the podcast.
Thank you.
I want to, for people who want to come to, come see the symphony, when is your next concert?
Okay, so our next concert is this Saturday. It's just, I don't know when you're going to do this.
It'll be next week, actually. So, because they publish on Tuesdays. We're recording on Thursday the 20th.
So we have the...
So after that, then.
After that is October 28th 28th,
Okay.
and it's just a Halloween concert.
Halloween
And
concert.
it's just beautiful, amazing, very energetic music. That's just all Halloween themed. So, and it's just for everyone there. So it's just for families, for the kids.
Yeah. Should they come in costume?
They should come in costumes. Everybody's gonna come in costumes. We actually asked the audience to come in costumes. The
All
orchestra is
right.
gonna come in costumes.
What's your costume then, Octavio?
So that concert I'm not gonna be here, unfortunately.
Oh, no.
But last year I was Darth Vader. So, but this year, I think at one point before, I don't think that we talk about this, but being a conductor, I've done a lot of works and so on. So my wife is a conductor.
Aha.
My sister is a conductor. My brother-in-law is a conductor. We are all conductors. It's just amazing. I don't know how, like people talk about politics and they say, don't talk politics in the table, right?
Yeah.
We're like, let's don't talk conductors in the table, please. Let's talk politics. So many people have asked me, when is your wife gonna come and conduct? So she's I had another commitment in another place, so she's gonna come and conduct, and a little bit worry about it because she's so good that no one is gonna want me back after her. So
She has big shoes to fill, or you have big shoes to fill. Then
I know I will. I know I will. So anyway, and then we have the Christmas concert,
Everyone loves that.
and that's a Mansfield favorite, because we play this music that puts you in the mood for Christmas. All these just great holiday tunes that everybody knows, and some surprises, and the choir will be there. You will be there because you will be singing, and it's just
Right.
it's just great. It's just everybody out of that. They got out of that concert with a smile in their face and just said, "Yeah, bring the Christmas." Then we have in February the Russian Spectacular, which is also a side-by-side concert with the youth orchestra, and that's gonna be great, and it's just a great support for the youth people. I think it's one of my favorite concerts because we share the stage with the young people, young people who has been playing the orchestra, their instruments for a few years. They share their instrument. They share the stage with people who have been professionals for many years. And so you see this kind of moment of wow in their faces, and this kind of like their eyes go wild, and that's to me just incredible. And so we'll share the stage with them, and also we play this just very famous symphony, Tchaikovsky Symphony No. 5, which is one of the most popular symphonies ever written. And then we will finish our last concert of the season. We'll finish with the choir in a French program, and so we will finish. The second piece of the program will be the organ symphony, which is a spectacular symphony with a big, huge organ sounds, like these chords that just fill the house, and it just like hits you like the band hit me when I was young, and just
We've come full circle now.
Full
in
circle,
our conversation.
exactly, and it's just like blows your mind, just like it was just really spectacular. It's just like so all the concerts that we have. Oh, I'm missing one. Sorry, miss the March concert, which is an Elton John concert. We have Elton John coming to sing with us.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. No, but we have this band.
You heard it here first. No.
Right. This band that just they impersonate Elton John. So just is called Jeans and Classics. I worked with them before in a Beatles concert, and they were amazing. I mean, they sounded like even better than the Beatles. So and they come with their instruments, they come with the singers, the backup singers.
That's a bold claim, Octavio. Better than the Beatles.
I know. No. I mean, yeah, vocally, that's what I mean. Just anyway. And so they're coming with their Elton John show with the entire Mansfield Symphony backing them up, and just that's gonna be another very enthusiastic. It's a little different than in previous seasons. So we are trying different things to just encourage people to just show that we can do other things. Right. And I think that this could be a very pleasant, very smiling concert that everybody would just very just
right.
glad
Everyone
to
loves
see.
Elton John.
Yeah.
It's hard to hate that.
Yeah,
So.
exactly.
And of course, if you want to learn more information about the concerts and possibly get tickets, you can go to mansfieldtickets.com. Thanks again, Octavio, for being here. I mean, you've such an amazing story. I'm so glad that you were able to come on the podcast. And of course, anyone who wants to listen to more episodes of Why the Hell Am I Here, you can find us on wrestlesource.com or pretty much anywhere you listen to podcasts these days. Oh, Octavio, I meant to ask you, how do you say Why the Hell Am I Here in Spanish?
¿Qué hago aquí?
Then there we go.
What the hell I'm not gonna translate. We swear a lot in Spain, so. But wanted to say it's been a pleasure. Thank you very much for having me.
We'll see you guys next time.